Second time's the charm, because life depends on change and renewal. Now, when I say run, run. Oh my giddy aunt. It's fascinating to look at the later Troughton years because although you still have missing episodes, it's much more complete. He's joined by Jamie obviously because he's an inseparable part of his Doctor Who, and now Zoe, the girl genius from the space year 2000 and 1968. I'll probably look at the Wheel in Space at some point in the future, providing I can say more than I just find it very stale. And The Dominators is too dumb for words in spite of some so bad it's good moments. No, I think the defining Troughton story that I haven't reviewed yet is The Mind Robber. Originated by Peter Ling, this 5-part Doctor Who picks up where the Dominators ended, with the trio narrowly escaping the erupting volcano on the planet Dulcus. The first thing you'll notice about episode 1 is that there's no writer's credit because it's not written by Peter Ling but by script editor Derek Sherwin. He added this episode onto The Mind Robber, which was originally 4 parts, because he cut down the Dominators by 1. So this episode arrives to merge together the resolution of last week's Doctor Who with the beginning of the next serial. So anyway, Jamie rushes the Doctor and the TARDIS is forced outside of the known universe, ending up on a plane of existence that makes no sense at all. At least at first. All sorts of crazy shit happens here. Jamie and Zoe see their homes on the scanner and wander outside into a white void, whilst the Doctor is assaulted by a piercing noise and a hissing voice urging him, beckoning him to follow the two of them. Outside, Jamie and Zoe meet the white robots, which were repainted costumes from another BBC science fiction show, and turn white themselves. The Doctor fights back, of course, and pulls his companions back into reality, but just when you think they've escaped and it's all over, another psychic attack happens, which is so powerful that it blows up the TARDIS. Jamie and Zoe cling to the console, the camera gets a shot of her arse, and all 3 of them head towards an uncertain fate. And that's just episode 1. The other 4 revolve around the trio trying to work out where in time and space they are. Eyed by the mysterious Master, the Doctor realises that this is a dimension unlike any other. It will dawn on them soon that they've just crossed over into the Twilight Zone. Actually, it's a place called the Land of Fiction, but wouldn't that have been a great crossover? A difficult production, The Mind Robber came at the end of the block for season 5, but was held over to the second story of season 6. It holds the distinction of having the shortest individual episodes of any Doctor Who serial apart from special short episodes, the Children in Need, comic relief, or DVD extras. During recording, Fraser Hines caught chickenpox and had to be isolated, which resulted in him being replaced for 2 episodes by another actor, Hamish Wilson, who's actually Scottish. Their way of working around it is inspired, and that's the key word I would use to describe this run of episodes. It constantly finds new things to add to the story, whether you have the gigantic clockwork toy soldiers or the ingeniously over-the-top carcass played by Christopher Robbie, who will return as the incredibly emotional cyber leader in Revenge of the Cybermen. Or the Doctor having a chat with Lemuel Gulliver, who can only speak the words that Jonathan Swift wrote for him, which is awesome as well. You're able to suspend your disbelief to a ridiculous degree. I mean, if it was the planet of fiction, no. It's the land of fiction, it just works. Though that might also be a result of the vision the late David Maloney brought to Doctor Who. This was his first time directing for the show, and he really elevates it beyond the limitations of low-budget science fiction. He'll falter with the Crotons later in season 6, but will bring his A-game to the grand finale, the War Games, and will go on to direct, among others, Planet of the Daleks for Pertwee's 4th season, the acclaimed Genesis of the Daleks, and the polarizing Deadly Assassin and Talons of Weng Chiang in Tom Baker's tenure. He also has a photographic cameo in both Face Games in episodes 2 and 3. If you've seen him on the DVDs, you'll be able to spot his eyes. But what of our villain? The Master of Fiction, known as the Master to confuse future fans, is the titular Mind Robber. An early 20th century writer implied to be 3 different real-life pulp magazine writers, and a bit of Peter Ling himself, taken out of time to maintain the anarchic universe where Rapunzel, the fictional Medusa, and the Minotaur exist all at once. Oh, and a universe where a big muscly comic strip lunatic can be overpowered by a young one shorter than Patrick Troughton. God, that scene is hilarious. The writer is played by veteran actor Emrys Jones, and he is excellent as you'd imagine, switching from benign to gleefully malevolent to the Master Brain's cold dictation. I love how he delivers certain lines, especially his delivery of them in episode 5, during his battle of wills against the Doctor. In case you're unaware, some fans of Doctor Who believe that the Mind Robber never actually happened, and it's a shared dream among all three players. According to the old BBC website, this was the intention of Derek Sherwin, but I disagree with that idea because, firstly, it's a terrible cliche, and secondly, the invasion begins with the TARDIS reassembling itself, reprising the ending of episode 5. The text does refer to dreams though. The white void was pure imagination, Jamie dozes off and dreams of the unicorn, and the master of fiction claims he fell asleep and woke up in the world of words. Maybe it's best left as it is. I say it happened because it's too interesting a story to not be canon. And look, if some absolutely rubbish episodes of Doctor Who happened, I think we can bear having one good Doctor Who happen as well. Moving to the conclusion, here are my teeny tiny gripes with the Mind Robber. 1. The missed opportunity of having the Doctor respond to the comments about how Jamie can't just change his face with, well, humans can't. And yeah, I know, they only did it once, but that would have just appealed to me as an aspiring writer and a fan and my sense of humour. And it's my video, so I just wanted to mention that. 2. The special effects are very wonky sometimes, such as the firing effect of the white robots and the comic book bang. Although maybe that last one is a bad example. It hurts the aesthetic, and David Maloney laments this on the commentary. I don't blame him. 3. The jump from studio to location filming is more jarring than ever, though it does in a way add to the insanity of the fictional fight. And the last thing I'm going to say is, if you're an animal lover, you will absolutely hate how they realise the unicorn at the end of episode 2. That certainly would not happen nowadays. I adore the Mind Robber. Doctor Who does something completely different and pulls off spectacularly. Credit to the players, including the worthy stand-in of Hamish Wilson, who goes out in the best possible way, and the ethereal presence of the great Bernard Horsfall as a stranger, Lemuel Gulliver. Although it wore out its lead star and convinced his departure, Patrick Troughton never lets this show on his face, and he owns the role convincingly throughout all 5 episodes. I'm not going to promise everyone will love this walk into fantasy. The audience at the time certainly didn't, because that depends on what you think Doctor Who is. But I think it's marvellous, darling. From the terrifying David Lynch style episode 1 with a white TARDIS and a dramatic ending, to stop-motion snakes, to Jamie and Zoe facing the prospect of being turned to fiction by being pressed between the pages of a giant book, to the unintentional brilliance of Peter Bryan's credit showing up on the TARDIS scanner. We are so lucky that the Mind Robber exists in full. Its ambitious setting is realised well, and it's in black and white, which most of the time, though not always, helps to hide the seams in the scenery. When I think of good Who, I think of the Mind Robber. When I think of the Troughton Doctor, I think of an experimental era with some unmistakable classics, and the Mind Robber falls under that. To this fan, it's a great case for this face of Doctor Who. 9.5 out of 10.